Hey, listeners, it's Chelsea, and welcome back to Midwest Fright. It's Movie Monday, and I've got a doozy for you guys. It's Chelsea, your host with Midwest Fright. How are you guys doing? I love this movie. When I first watched it, I didn't know what the fuck was going on. I didn't know if I had just selected the wrong film or if this was some kind of like clickbait type cover. No clue. And I also didn't really watch any like trailers whenever it first came out 3 years ago. Popped up on Hulu and I was like, I'll give it a shot. Sure, why not? It's got Bill Skarsgård in it. It's got Justin Long. Let's go for it. Holy shit, you guys. We buckle up because we're going on a ride. Stay with me. I promise you. I don't know. You just got to experience it with me. I've seen this. This would be my third or fourth time watching it. I made Doug watch it with me on the second go around months ago because he had never seen it. And I was like, dude, you've got to sit down and you have to watch it with me. Like, I need to make sure that I'm not just crazy, that you also are like, what the fuck throughout the whole thing. So he did. And whenever it ends, he was like, that's it. What? And I was like, yeah, I know, right? So fasten your seatbelts. Let's buckle in for this crazy ride that we are going to talk about. I can't even use my words because I just finished watching it again, which would be my fourth time, I would assume. I watched it in the daytime, thank goodness. But yeah, we're going to talk about Barbarian. Came out in 2022. Are you ready and tired of me rambling? Yes, perfect. Great. So this came out in 2022. I don't remember there being a theatrical release, but apparently it did at some point. It's available on Hulu, but it is rated R, and it's an hour and 42 minutes. The budget was $4.5 million and it grossed $45.3 million. Holy shit, that's a really good freaking profit. It's directed by Zach Cregger. I looked him up on IMDb and I'm not familiar with any of his other works, honestly. But he did a great job on this film, okay? So, a little fun fact is the title of the movie is written only using the letters Airbnb. And it's a nod to the story's like main setting because we'll get into that in a minute. So I thought that was really cool that maybe that's part of why they named it this. There's also another thing that I read that the address on the house is like 476. And apparently if you're a history buff, that was supposed to be like 476 BC when barbarians were like created. I don't know. Anyway, but they said that was just a coinkydink. So this stars Georgina Campbell. She plays as Tess. She was in Bird Box Barcelona, which I have not watched yet. I've seen the first Bird Box with Sandra Bullock, and that was great. She was in The Watchers, which is M. Night Shyamalan's daughter's film debut, like directorial debut. And then she was also in an episode of Black Mirror. And I think this was 2023. It's another like psychological thriller called Lovely, Dark, and Deep. I did watch that, and I'll be honest, it wasn't very like memorable. So I know it's about like a park ranger and like missing kids, and I just don't remember a whole lot about it, if that tells you anything. I would watch it again. We can do that again. Then we have Bill Skarsgård, who plays as Keith. If you know the Skarsgård names, okay, there's like 4 sons, and their dad's also a big actor. Oh my gosh, my mind just went blank. He was in The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo remake. He was in Thor. He was one of the doctor professors or whatever. Anyway, huge name actor. Look them all up. The whole Skarsgård family. Well, Bill, he was Pennywise in the It remake. He is also Count Orlok, I think that's how you say it, in the Nosferatu remake as well. He was in The Devil All the Time, which is on Netflix. It stars Tom Holland and Robert Pattinson. You guys have to watch that. It is so good. I've seen it a couple of times, and I thoroughly it's very, very good. Anyway, he was also in a series on Netflix as well called Hemlock Grove, which I never finished it because I didn't want it to end, but it's vampires, werewolves, gypsies. I love it. I would actually revisit that, and I might do that sometime this year. And he's also going to be in a new movie releasing this year called Locked, which is starring Anthony Hopkins. And it's supposed to be like his character breaks into this really nice SUV, but then he gets trapped inside, and the car's like self-driving and shit. And it looks really good. Look it up. It's called Locked. Okay, so Bill Skarsgård's going to play as Keith. Then we have Richard Brake, and he is playing as Frank. That rhymes, ha. But he's been in films like Doom. He's been in a couple of Rob Zombie movies, 31, 3 from Hell, The Munsters. And then he was also in The Strangers, Chapter 1, which I think came out like last year or the year before. It wasn't that great. Don't hold your breath. But something with Richard Brake is that you see him in a couple of things, and you're like, oh, I know that dude, but like you never really remember his name. Like I think today was probably the first time I found out what his name was. I mainly just know him from Doom because he was not Portman. Shit. Now I just forgot his name. Anyway, but he's a really good actor, and he does creepy very, very well. But I found something that said he shared a story on Instagram about attending a late night screening of Barbarian, noting that a group of teenagers sitting a few rows behind him were really into the film, and they were terrified. When it was over, they were leaving the theater, and they used the flashlights on their phones. And when the light accidentally caught Richard's face, the teens recognized him from the movie, and he said they all freaked out and ran like away from him. So I thought that was kind of funny to share. And then last but not least, we have Justin Long playing as AJ. And if you guys remember Jeepers Creepers, Justin Long was Derry. Great person, great guy from all the things I've seen and heard about him. I act like I know him, but I don't. But a lot of like articles and stuff, he's a really good guy. In this movie, he is not a good guy, okay? And it was really hard to talk shit about him. But he's been in Jeepers Creepers. He was in Drag Me to Hell, Tusk, which Tusk is a gnarly, it's like a body horror type. I don't know. You have to experience that one too. I can talk about it, but you have to watch it because I finally did this year and I was like, oh my God. He was also in a new one that I spent $7 on to rent called Spin the Bottle, only because it had Justin Long in it. I'm like, okay, maybe it's good. It's probably going to be funny. It was garbage. I hated it so much. And anyway, he's also been in comedies like Waiting, Accepted, Idiocracy, Dodgeball, and I also just discovered this. He voices Alvin in the Alvin and the Chipmunk movies. Like, holy shit. I knew about Jesse McCartney, but I was like, no shit, didn't know that. So, we have Tess, Keith, Frank, AJ, and then we have another character that we will talk about later. Okay, so are we ready? Whew, deep breaths, you guys. Let's get into this. A woman staying at an Airbnb discovers that the house she has rented is not what it seems. Dum dum dum. I think the catchphrase or whatever is like come for a night, stay forever. Okay, so we're going. All right, we're going to this Airbnb, you guys. So we get an opening up of a nice house and the porch light's on. It's pouring rain and a Jeep Compass pulls up. The music is super suspenseful. And when the camera goes through like the passenger window, we meet our driver, Tess, and the music stops. She's checking the instructions for the Airbnb and keeps saying the code out loud, 8831. And the instructions say the key is in the box and it's the only copy, so make sure to take it with you each time you leave. She gets a call from some guy named Marcus, but she rejects it. We have no idea who that is, and it doesn't really come back. So she gets her bags, gets to the porch, and she's repeating the code, but the lockbox isn't opening. So she gets another call from Marcus, and she's like, go away, while rejecting it. She tries the code again, and it opens, but there's no key inside. So she calls the house owner or whoever listed the house on Airbnb, and it's a voicemail saying, you've reached Bonnie with Greater Wayne Property Management. Please leave a message. Tess is annoyed, and she's like, hey, it's Tess Marshall. I'm at the house on Barbary on the porch, and it's pouring rain, and there's no key in the lockbox. Please call me back at this number. She looks around the street, and there aren't any streetlights, and you can see the outline of houses, but you can't really make them out. And you're like, what the fuck? It's so creepy. So she gets, what are my notes? Oh, so she gets in her car, and then all of a sudden, whenever she gets in her car, she sees the lights turning on. There's a light going on in the house. So she's like, what the fuck? So she gets back out, she rings the doorbell, and she sees a guy turning on another light through the window. He opens the door, and this is where we meet Keith. They're both confused, and they're asking who each other are, and Tess is confirming, hey, this is 476 Barbary, right? Keith's like, yeah, I think so. And she's like, you don't know? He's like, I don't know, it's not mine. I'm just renting the place. And it's the middle of the night. Tess is like, ugh. What? I booked it on the Airbnb app a month ago. Keith's like, well, I booked it on Home Away. He asked her to double check the dates, and she confirms. Keith's like, are you sure this is the right place? So she shows him her phone. He's like, shit, okay, well, come inside and let's call these people and get it all sorted out. The fuck? It's such a weird intro to a movie, because then we get the title card. So do we trust Keith? Do we not trust Keith? We don't know these fucking people yet. So Tess goes in and she asks if she can use the restroom. And she asks Keith to pull up his reservation. And he's like, oh, so you don't think I'm a weirdo that broke into the house to sleep or something? But he's joking, so he agrees. And when she goes to the bathroom, Keith is watching her, which is kind of weird. When she comes out of the restroom and goes to the living room, she doesn't see Keith. And then all of a sudden he pops out of nowhere, and they both kind of jump scare each other. He shows her his phone, and she sees he is also confirmed for the same dates and address. They confirm they have the same number for the company, and Tess just says she'll just try to find something else. Keith says he feels bad, and Tess is like, well, what else, is she supposed to do? He says he isn't sure if she saw the neighborhood, but he wouldn't just sit out in the car trying to find a place to stay. She should just chill here in the house and search for something. Kind of weird, he's given creepy vibes, okay? But that could just be him. We don't know. So she's sitting on the couch and Keith's in the kitchen. They finally introduce one another, hey, I'm Keith. Hey, I'm Tess. Cool. And he even mentions that he likes her name. It's a beautiful name. He's asking her if she wants any tea, or, there's a gift basket with wine and like nuts and stuff in there. Tess is like, I'm fine. So Keith's like, okay, well, I'm going to make some tea and I'll just make you one too. She tries to call a hotel and we assume that it's booked. And Keith's like, oh shit, you know what? Like, there's a convention in town. It's some kind of like medical doctor thing. I don't think you're going to get a room tonight. What, sir? Like, huh? So Keith's like, how about you just stay here? Take the bedroom and I'll sleep on the couch. And tomorrow we'll just call these people, complain, get our money back, and it'll be just like a free stay. Tess is kind of hesitant, which we are too. And she's like, okay, but she'll take the couch. And Keith's like, whoa, I was not raised that way to let a lady sleep on the couch. It's not up for discussion. He's cute, but like, you don't know him and you don't know this area. Like, what? So Tess is like, okay, well, I have a thing about clean sheets. So they throw the sheets into the laundry. And while that's going, we see the tea sitting on the counter and Tess is eyeballing it from the couch. Like, she's not drinking that shit. Keith comes back in and he has her luggage and she's like, oh, like, you didn't have to do that. And he's like, well, you don't have a raincoat and I do. So he offers to take them to her room and she's like, oh, no, like, I can do it myself. It's fine. So she locks the bedroom door and she starts going through her stuff. Well, then she sees his wallet on the dresser. So she opens it, takes his ID out, and takes a photo of his ID. Smart, but she doesn't fucking send it to anybody, which is also kind of fucking weird. Like, do these people not have friends? Anyway, she brings it out to him on her way to the bathroom, and he's like, oh, cool, thanks. Well, whenever she comes out, like, of the restroom, he's sitting at the small kitchen table, and he has the bottle of wine and 2 glasses. We're all kind of like, what the fuck's going on? And he's like rambling, saying like, well, since I'm awake now and, he noticed that she didn't drink her tea. Well, he didn't want to open the wine and the whole thing's just a weird situation. So it just makes sense since she didn't drink the tea that like she would see him open the wine and pour it, So Tess like, no, I'm good, but go ahead. Well, he starts opening the wine and says she probably has like an hour or so until the sheets are done. So she sits at the table and he pours himself a glass and he asks, like, what are you doing in town? She has a job interview as a researcher for a documentary, and it's for a woman named Catherine James. Keith asks if, there's anything she's made that he would know. She tells him she made a movie about jazz called Blue Easy. Keith's like, oh, yeah, I liked that. And she's like, what? No one has seen that movie. He starts telling her about it. And she's like, oh, no shit. Okay. And he asks what the new film's going to be. And she says it's going to be about Detroit. And it'll be about like the artists that have been there for the last 10 years or so that have been like, they've started groups and collectives just in the community. He says, well, she should interview him, because he's one of the lion tamers, one of the founders of the lion tamers. And Tess is like, what the fuck? Like, what are you doing in an Airbnb? He says they're looking for a new space, so he's just there for a week, looking on this side of town for their next nest. So we have no fucking idea what these lion tamers are, or like what he does, or I don't know. No idea. So I guess they're opening up like studios. Don't know. Anyway, so laundry's done, but now they're sitting on the couch and they're both drinking wine and they're chit-chatting. They're talking about her relationship with Marcus and blah, blah, blah. Nothing really crazy, okay? So now they're putting the sheets together and they're like both kind of just giggling and having a good time. He's being all cute and he's like, hey, I'm going to show you like how to set up the duvet cover. And I don't know, I'm not fancy. Okay. I have sheets, I have a comforter, and then I have like a a loose sheet, fitted sheet, loose sheet, comforter. I don't know anything about fucking duvets. Anyway, so he's like putting the sheet over his head and he's like showing her how to make the perfect setup. And it seems like there's a little spark forming between the two of them. Well, he thanks her for the evening and she says she enjoyed it as well. And they just say their goodnights. So you guys sticking with me here? Just, I promise you, we're 20 minutes in, but bear with me. So Tess is sleeping and we start hearing like creaking floorboards. And she hears them too. And then all of a sudden there's like a weird like screech. It's not, I mean, it's alarming, obviously, but it's not like super loud, I guess you would say. Well, she sits up and her door is open, which that is alarming. Then she hears Keith like making noises. So she gets up and she slowly walks into the living room, and behind her, we see like the basement door move. Well, Keith seems to be having a nightmare on the couch, and she calls his name and he's like not waking up. So she walks over to him and he's like whimpering, like he is straight up having a terrifying nightmare, it seems. Well, she touches him and says his name and he like wakes up and they both are like yelling at each other. He's like, "What are you doing?" She explains she heard a noise and her door was open, and then she heard him making noises. He's like, I was making noises. She apologizes and says that she's just going to go back to sleep. But then she's like, "Did you open my door?" And he's like, "What? No." So it's like, what the fuck? It's such a weird interaction. So she goes back in the room and she like makes sure that the door is properly locked. And she just goes back to bed. Well, she wakes up late and finds that Keith isn't in the home. So she gets dressed, finds a note on the coffee table that says, "Had to leave. Please leave key in lockbox and I'll see you this evening. Break a leg today. P.S. Had a great time last night. K." She's like, "Oh, that's so cute." Gross. I promise you guys, just stick with me here, okay? She leaves the key in the box, and when she starts looking around the neighborhood, every other house looks fucking rough, my guy. Okay, so they're in Detroit, Michigan, and we obviously know about, and this could be wrong, okay? Don't yell at me, but I guess when the big factory shuts down and stuff, and a lot of people moved out, they lost their homes, etc. So these houses are falling apart, like, no one would fucking live here. And this little cute little yellow house is still in great shape. Okay. Make it make sense. Anyway, she starts driving down the street and that's all she's seeing are just torn up, just dilapidated houses. Well, she arrives in the city for her interview. And at the end, Catherine's like, "Hey, where are you staying?" Tess tells her that it's at an Airbnb in Brightmoor, and Catherine is like, what? Like, the fuck? And Tess is like, "Yeah, I know the neighborhood seems a little, like, a little rough, but it's fine. And, you know, there's a convention in town, like, that's the only place that's available." And Catherine is basically like, "Bitch, you should not be there. Like, no one should be in fucking Brightmoor." But Tess is like, "Oh, no, it's fine. I've got a roommate. It's cool." What? So Catherine's like, "Okay, well, be careful. Like, seriously." And then they just part ways. But assumingly she has the job. So Tess is driving back and she parks in front of the house, kind of re-looks around the street, and in a distance we can see someone like walking up towards her. Well, then she sees him because he starts yelling at her like, "Hey, you girl." And he starts running up to her, and it's like a homeless man. Well, obviously she's scared because who the fuck is this guy? And he's yelling, and all of a sudden she makes it into the house. Well, whenever she locks the door behind her, he's like telling her, you know, like, "Little girl, come about the house, like, get out." Well, she quickly runs in the room and starts packing up her fucking suitcase because she's like, oh, hell no. Well, she calls 911 and they're like, they don't have any available units. And she's like, well, so no one's coming to like check on me or check out the situation? And she's like, well, you said the guy left, right? And she's like, well, yeah, but still, it's beside the point. Like, I was scared. And the dispatcher's like, sorry, no available units. Like, what the fuck? So Tess finally calms down. The guy's gone. And she goes to the bathroom. There's no toilet paper. So she's like looking all over. She's like looking in the cabinets, and she goes in the kitchen, looks in the kitchen cabinets. Well, she decides she's going to check the basement. And there is a pack like sitting on, I guess, an old washer, because there's a washer dryer upstairs and there's one downstairs. And he only takes one roll. I'm sorry, just take the whole fucking pack with you. Anyway, the basement door like slowly creeps shut. And then it locks. So remember that when the door shuts, it does not open from the inside. She realizes that she left her phone on the dresser and the key is with her too, like the key to the house. Remember, the only key. So Keith won't be able to get in. So she's like, shit. So she kind of starts looking around and she sees that there's a window that she can see her car from, but she can't get it open. So she's pretty much stuck in this basement. Well, she kind of just keeps looking around and she finds a piece of rope on a shelf. So it's like, what the fuck? And it's coming out of the wall. So she starts to pull it and this hidden door opens. It's pitch black. And all of a sudden the camera like zooms up to Tess and she goes, nope. Don't blame her. I would have busted out that window and got the fuck out of there. No, thank you. So then she's sitting on the stairs and she's like contemplating with the door open. Okay. The creepy hidden door. So she like gets a mirror, a full length mirror, and she like sets it up with other shit that's there to reflect the ceiling light on the mirror into the creepy passageway. And it's still fucking dark. I don't know what the fuck she expected to see. Well, she finds a door a few feet in because she's like, okay, I guess I'll just look and see if this goes out somewhere. And a few feet in, there's a door to the left. And she turns the light on. And holy shit, you guys. There is a camera set up on a tripod. There's a dirty ass mattress on a bed frame, and there's a fucking bucket. And there's like smears on the wall, assuming to be blood. She gets the fuck out of there immediately. Well, all of a sudden she hears knocking and she's like, oh shit, it's Keith. So she goes back to that little basement window and he sees her and he's kind of like laughing, like, what the fuck are you doing down there? And you know, she's like, oh my God, like, help me. Like, she's terrified. So he helps her out the window. They get back into the house and she's telling him like what happened and what she just saw. And he's like, what? No, like, that's crazy. She tells him like, it's like a dungeon. And he says like, okay, well, I'll go check it out. And she tells him like, okay, fine, whatever. If you want to go, that's fine, but I'm leaving. And he's like, well, no, like, I just don't think I'm being nonchalant about this. It's just because I haven't seen what you saw and I want to see it. I don't know you, Keith. I gotta go. So he tells her, or he asks her like, hey, you know, if you want to go, that's fine. But like, can you just wait up here while I go check in case I get locked in too? And Tess is like, yeah, I'll wait. Bitch, just get the fuck out of that house. So he heads down to the basement and he's gone maybe like 10 seconds and she kind of follows after him. And she's standing at the basement doorway. up the stairs and she's like, hey, like, do you see it? And he calls back, yeah. And then she's like, okay, well, can you come back up now? But it's quiet. So she grabs a chair to like block the door from closing all the way. And she goes into the secret passage and calls out for him. And there's nothing. She uses her phone's flashlight and continues in. She looks in the creepy room, and for some reason, she looks underneath the fucking bed. Bitch, you can see under the bed standing in the doorway. Okay, you can just turn your head and be like, nope, not there. 6'4" Keith, not underneath the fucking bed. What? So she finds another door, like straight forward, and she opens it, and it's a creepy, dark staircase, like down. Just down. And she calls out for Keith, and you can hear him faintly yelling for help and saying, please. And Tess is so fucking scared, but she's like, this boy, like, I'm a good person. I gotta save this boy. I'm sorry, Keith. I don't know you. I'm gonna go get help. Okay, I got to get the fuck out of here because no. Dude, I got goosebumps because, like, watching this movie, whenever you finally get into it, you're like, what the fuck? So she makes her way down, and at the end, she sees a metal gate, and it's like one of those accordion type gates, like you'd see at like an elevator or something. And she opens it all the way, and we still hear Keith, like, in the background yelling, hey. So is Keith, like, involved in this? Is he setting her up? What is going on? So she's walking, and there's, like, these big wired cages, almost like dog kennels, and she's crying, and she's calling out for him, because I'd be fucking terrified, too. And the camera view is like we're the ones walking down this creepy dark hallway. And then all of a sudden we see Keith like crawling towards her quickly, and she screams, and he looks fucking shooketh. And he's like whispering like someone's down here, and Tess is like, what? Like no one's down here. Like what the fuck? What do you mean? And he's like, someone bit me. And she's like, okay, well, let's go back up this way. Like, we got to go. And he's like, no, we have to go down this way. And she's like, what? No. He's like, they came from that way. Like, the way she came in. And they're just yelling back and forth at each other. And you don't know is he going to kill her? Like, what the fuck's happening? Like, and he does look petrified. He looks fucking terrified. And he's like holding her arm saying like, no, we need to go this way. And she's crying and yelling. And all of a sudden, this big, tall, fucking naked, long-limbed woman, like, I don't know, inbred motherfucking, bleh. She looks like a fucking wrong turn, jacked up fucking teeth, all gums, gingivitis, weird fucking yellow leprosy maybe? I don't know, but she looks fucking terrifying. She comes out of nowhere, grabs Keith, and just starts bashing his head into the side of the fucking wall, and it does not cut away. It's like she just smashed a fucking watermelon. And Tess is just staring in horror, like, oh my fucking god. And then this woman creature thing, like, throws him to the ground and just screams in Tess's face. And it cuts. We're 42 minutes in, you guys, and shit just hit the fucking fan. Like, what the fuck was that? Now we're seeing Justin Long's character, AJ, who is driving along the coast in a red convertible. He's singing and he's jamming, and all of a sudden he gets a call from his assistant that says that there's a David and a Melissa. And he's like, love it. Literally, that's what he says. So David says, hey, we need to discuss something that has just come up. And AJ's like, okay, Melissa says there's been some troubling developments. Apparently, a woman named Megan Maddox has contacted the network through her lawyer with serious accusations against AJ. She claimed he was sexually aggressive during the filming of the pilot and no longer wants to continue with the show if AJ is involved. And he's like, what the fuck? Like, he's confused. And Melissa says the network is taking it very seriously. AJ's like, wait, what about this show? Like, why are they investigating? David says if they move forward with the show, it will be very likely that he will not be involved. And Melissa agrees. And AJ is just like flabbergasted. He's like, I'm fired? That fucking bitch. This is blown out of proportion. And Melissa tells him that he should not go into detail on this call. He's like, well, what the fuck does that mean? He was the one that, he was the first one brought on the show, and he was the one that recommended her. David's telling him he needs to relax and chill out, and Melissa says there's going to be a story going out in the Hollywood Reporter about this. The allegations are very serious. AJ's like, what the fuck is she saying? Is she saying I raped her? Melissa says yes. And he's just shocked. He's like, what the fuck? Like, no, like that didn't happen. He hangs up and he pulls over. So we know that AJ's life is about to fall apart because he probably deserves it. AJ is now at a bank. He's talking to some kind of accountant, and he's like, the accountant guy is like, okay, there's no new money coming in. And, he's like, how much are you looking at spending, with the cases? And AJ says, well, they're going to have 2 cases, the defense against the allegations, which he says are 100% not true. And then the countersuit of defamation, and he's going to win against that bitch. Quote, unquote, literally, he's not very friendly towards this woman. The accountant says, okay, well, how much is that going to be? AJ says, well, it's going to be around $70,000 each. So, 140 grand. And the accountant says, okay, well, you're going to be at $0 in 3 months. He says AJ has properties the accountant says that AJ has properties in Michigan that bring in a little bit of income, and his mortgage where he currently resides is what's really killing him. And AJ's like, can I sell the Michigan properties? And he's like, well, yeah, that's only going to give you a couple of months though. And you can tell AJ's like, what the fuck, man? So the guy was like, hey, by the way, at the end of the week, I'm giving you your files back. You're going to need to find a new wealth manager. AJ's like, oh, so you're leaving me too. Yeah, you in some hot water, bro. So he's at the airport and he's looking at an article on his phone, and it's a photo of him that titles AJ Gilbride accused of sexual misconduct, chip off the block, pilot not moving forward. He's like, what the fuck, So he's wearing a baseball cap, puts it over his face, and he just keeps on walking. He gets to the parking garage and he's on the phone with a guy named Robert, which we're assuming is his lawyer. And he's like, hold on, I'm getting into my rental. AJ's like, can I have a conversation with her and maybe nip this thing in the bud? And Robert's like, absolutely not. Do not contact her. And then he says, wait, what do you mean you're in a rental? He says, yeah, I'm in Detroit. And Robert's like, you shouldn't have left the state, man, because in case there's developments. AJ's like, what do you mean developments? Do you think they're going to arrest me? Robert's like, yeah, there's a possibility that's going to happen. So, yeah, this dude's world is crumbling. So AJ picks up his keys for one of his properties, and the receptionist says, 476 Barbary. So that's one of his houses. Full circle, right? I know you're probably like, who the fuck is this guy? Why do we give a shit about him? So he arrives at the house, and he sees the Jeep Compass. Tessa's car is still there, and he's like, okay, it's weird. He goes inside and he sees the basement door wide open. He's like, what the fuck? So he goes to pee. He sees all the toiletry bags and he checks the bedroom and it's like all still slept in. Like he's confused. So he calls Bonnie, the one that Tess left the voicemail for earlier. And he's like, hey, is someone staying here? And she's like, I don't think so. It's been a couple weeks. And he's like, okay, well, do we have squatters? When did the last person check out? And why was the house not cleaned after? And he's being kind of a dick to her. And she's like, well, the maid service only comes before the new guests arrive. AJ's pissed. And he's like, well, who the fuck is staying in my house? So he's washing his face and he's on the phone with his mom. And she's like, well, I don't know what to tell people. And he says, just tell them she's a lying bitch. The mom says, well, that's not very nice. And he says, well, she's trying to ruin my reputation. She tells him to come home and he's like, well, I gotta go. Someone's calling me. So, I get it because we don't know the full story yet. Okay. Well, it's one of his buddies and they go to a bar to have a drink. The music's loud. The bar's pretty crowded. So they're like standing up talking to each other. And his friend, which is actually supposed to be the director, like doing a little M. Night Shyamalan thing. And he's like, hey, like real talk, what really happened? I'm your bro. I'm going to believe you. So just tell me what happened. AJ's like, okay, man. All right. He's like, we did sleep together, but she took some convincing. And at the beginning, she was like saying, no. But then she just came around. You piece of shit, AJ. You piece of shit. So, Justin Long does not play a good guy in this movie, by the way. Just in case we all haven't caught around, we love Justin Long, but his character is not a good one. He gets back to the house and he's drunk and he is calling her Megan. And he leaves her a voicemail saying, hey, I guess you don't want to talk to me. I'm sorry if I did anything that offended you. People can have different versions of the same thing. I'm not mad at you. I'm really sorry. Please just call me back. And, if you call me, I'll apologize again. Motherfucker, an apology is not going to cure what you did. The fuck? You're just trying to save face. So, anyway, he wakes up in bed and he's hungover. He's sitting in the bathroom looking at the stuff, assuming is Keith's toiletries. And he decides that he's going to go through some of these suitcases. And he finds a laptop belonging to Tess, but obviously he doesn't know the password, so he just tosses it on the floor. He makes coffee and he sits at the table, but then he leans back and he eyes the basement door because he sees her car keys still sitting on the table. So the lights are out in the basement and he's calling out like, hey, is anybody there? Well, then we hear a thud. And he's like, you have 30 seconds to make yourself known. I have a gun. Nothing. So he gets dressed saying, fucking squatters in my fucking house. I'm going to fuck you up. And it's kind of comical, the way he's acting. But he's still a piece of shit. He grabs a steak knife and goes back to the basement. Says, last chance, bitch. Get ready to get fucked. He actually has a flashlight. And he sees the mirror setup that Tess had made and is like, what the hell is that? Well, he finds the string in the wall and he pulls it and the door opens and he's like, the fuck? And he walks in, he sees the room with the bed and the camera. You're like, oh shit, he's concerned. But no, he just is typing on his computer asking, can underground rooms be listed as square footage when selling a home? So he's a piece of shit. In case I haven't already said, he finds that most unfinished attics and basements are not included. And then he finds a link that says they usually don't count. And he's like, okay, usually. He's like, yeah, bitch. So he's going to use that where it is usually is like, we can still list it, right? So he replaces the bulb in the ceiling light in the basement, and he's now got a measuring tape because he's going to write down that square footage. He's getting every nook and cranny, and he even moves the bed out of the way. And then he sits on it while he's taking his notes, and then he realizes, like, oh, that's gross. No. So he finds the other hidden door, and he's like, oh, shit. He's all excited. And he measures all the way down the stairs, and then he finds another tunnel. And he sees the cages, and he measures around them too. Like, he's not even concerned. Like, this man has just a one-track mind of only thinking about himself. And that how he's literally going to be broke because he did something really fucking stupid and horrible, and now he has to pay for it. Literally, figuratively, deserves it. Well, he starts hearing noises, and he turns and sees a light coming from a room. And he calls out, and no one answers. So he walks towards it, obviously, because that's what we do. And a TV is playing a video on how to breastfeed. And it's not like a gross, vulgar video. It's just like a mother teaching video. And he's like, what the fuck? And the room has like sheets and trash and stuff all over it. And then the tape measure all of a sudden starts like freaking the fuck out. And so he drops it, and then the tape measure gets pulled away, and he's like, hey, who's there? And he holds up the flashlight and the knife. And you think that big tall bitch is going to come running after him. But after a few seconds, AJ just turns around and starts fucking running. And this tunnel system is wild. There's no telling how much shit is down here, okay? And he's running, he trips, and the flashlight like starts flickering. Because of course it does. We're in a horror movie. And the light's flickering, and you start seeing that tall fucking gangly woman creature walking towards him. And so he gets back up, he continues running, he cuts his arm, he falls into a hole, and he like looks up, and a gate closes down on top. And then all of a sudden someone comes up to him, and it's Tess. She's still alive. She puts her hand over his mouth, telling him to be quiet. And she looks up, and like she looks like someone that hasn't showered in weeks, obviously, because this poor girl has been down here since Keith got his head bashed in like a fucking fruit gusher. Okay, poor Tess. So now we are at a flashback to like the 1980s. Heat of the Moment by Asia is playing in the background. And we're at the same house. But it's a much nicer neighborhood. There's kids riding their bikes. And there's, men watering the lawns. Like, it looks like a very, very nice place to live. This is where we meet Frank, Richard Brake's character. He comes out of the house and he gets in his car. And he's just very nonchalant, just chill as can be. He goes to the store, and the lady is like, hey, can I help you find anything? And he's like, plastic sheets. And then he's like, baby stuff, diapers. And she's like, oh, okay. How old's the little one? And he's like, not here yet. And she's like, oh, are you guys going to go to Mercy for the big day? And he goes, home birth. She's like, oh, bless your hearts. Plastic sheets. Anything else? I don't know why I'm getting all Southern, because she's not Southern. But anyway, she's like, the midwife should have given you a list. And he's like, no, just me. And he looks like a clean cut guy. He's not dirty. He's not gross. Like, so not suspicious, right? Well, she starts loading up his cart with a bunch of like baby stuff, and then hands him that baby video like VHS. And he walks back to his car with his bags, and he's watching a woman in a blue car across the street. Well, whenever he backs out, he sits and like waits for her to go so that way he can follow her. So he's sitting by some trees and she goes into her home. He gets out of the car and gets a dark blue like jumper out of his trunk. He knocks on her door, says he's with GWP. There's outages in the neighborhood and he just has to make sure that everything's up to par. She's like, okay, sure. Didn't think anything of it, right? He goes to her bathroom, turns the sink on, and unlocks the bathroom window. Then he goes to her in the kitchen, says everything looks good. Have a great day, ma'am. And she's wearing this cute yellow dress. Remember that. He goes back to his home, and his neighbor is like, hey, like, you know, Frank, I just want to let you know before you see it or hear it from anybody else, but we're moving. He's like, you're moving? Well, they want to get out before everything goes to hell. He says, or basically, I guess, because, you know, the factories and shit shutting down, all of that stuff. So this is basically what happened. I don't know the full detail. Do some history, Google why the fuck Detroit turned into the way it did. So Frank's like, I'm not going anywhere. He walks into his home. He goes to the basement door. And whenever he opens it, you hear a woman screaming. And then he shuts the door, walking in. So remember, the basement door locks on the inside to where you can't get out. Holy shit. So back to Tess and AJ. She's wrapping his arm and asking if anyone knows that he's there. And he's like, what? No. And like, where the fuck are we? She's like, this is important. You have to be calm. Don't freak out around her. AJ's like, I don't want to be here. And Tess is like, do you think I fucking want to be here? She backs away, pointing up, saying, be calm. If you get upset, she gets upset. And you're like, holy shit. He goes, who is she? Then we see hair and her arm going through the gate, like gate opening, holding a nasty fucking looking bottle. It's so gross. And she like points it towards AJ and Tess is like, you have to drink it. Well, he doesn't. So she moves the bottle over to Tess and Tess drinks it. And then the woman like coos at her like, oh, my baby. I'm telling you guys, you don't know what you're getting into, okay? So then she points the bottle back to AJ. And there's like a fucking long ass hair on the nipple of the bottle. And AJ's like, ew, no. And Tess is like, she just wants you to be her baby. Well, since AJ's not drinking out of the bottle, the creature woman gets fucking mad. She jumps down. Like, they kind of freak out, but, you know, whatever. And she starts holding Tess and is like, baby, like, while she's petting her hair. And AJ freaks the fuck out. The woman grabs him and starts like babbling. She's like, blah, 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 blah. And AJ is like, oh my God. She pulls him up out of the hole and leaves the gate open. So Tess grabs the flashlight and is like, oh shit. You know, like this is her way out. The woman creature puts him in the room where the video was playing. You guys. So AJ is like lying on his back, you know, like where she tosses him in. And then all of a sudden she has these long, gangly fucking fingers and nasty ass nails. And she like boops him on the fucking nose while saying boop. Literally like goes boop. Oh my God. She like puts him in this fucking like chokehold. Sits on the floor and she's like trying to hold him like a baby. And during all of this, Tess escapes. She's like walking down the hallway and she can hear AJ screaming. And she gets to the room and she's kind of like peeking in. And AJ is like struggling. And the fucking, like, the woman creature is, like, trying to put her titty in AJ's mouth, and he's, like, screaming. It's so nasty. And Tess just, nope, I want no part of that. So Tess is like, I'm just gonna keep on walking. Well, she fucking hits the tape measure, and that, like, alerts the creature, and Tess just fucking runs. She gets to the basement door, and of course it's locked, and she tries to kick it down. It doesn't budge. She goes over to the window. She breaks it. She starts crawling out. And that's when that same homeless man that was yelling at her before, like, starts to help pull her out just in time before the fucking, like, creature grabs her. Because she, like, reaches her long ass arms out to her. Oh, it's so terrifying. And, you know, the man's like, we gotta go, you know, like, yeah, I know there's a woman in there. And Tess is like, no, there's someone else. We have to help him. And this man's like, there ain't no helping him. Like, count yourself lucky. She's not even the worst thing in there. He tries to get her to safety at the water tower, but Tess is like, no, like, we have to help him. That woman will kill him. The man says there is no helping him. She comes out at dark, and if you're gonna go, you better go, but don't come back when it's dark. Like, what? And the fuck do you mean that she's not even the worst thing in there? Who else is there? Like, holy shit. So Tess is out. Tess can fucking leave, okay? She can get the fuck out of there. But she doesn't. AJ's trying to leave now. He gets his phone. He's using that as a flashlight. And he walks down the hallway and he finds, like, a bell hanging, and it's attached to a string. So he's like, okay, fuck it. I'm going to follow this string. Well, he hears a yell and he stops and stares, like, in the dark. And he's like, nope. So he just runs. He gets to a door at the end. And before he opens it, he looks behind him, and that, like, creature stops. And she doesn't come any closer, but then she slowly backs away. So what the fuck is behind this goddamn door? So AJ goes in, and you know this room has to fucking stink. This whole area has to just smell awful. But there's trash all over the floor. There's a bed. There's music playing. There's a TV. Very faint, dim lighting. And AJ finds a yellow dress. Then a man starts coughing. Scares the fuck out of AJ. He turns around. It's Frank. He's in bed, and he looks old as fuck. But he looks nasty as fuck. He's coughing and pointing to some liquid, and AJ gets it for him. And he's like, hey, I'm going to get out of here and get help. And that thing is going to pay for what it did. And there's going to be cops swarming this fucking place. Frank points over to the drawer where the liquid was. And AJ's like, what the fuck do you want? Like, you know, there's nothing over here. It's just trash and empty bottles. So he just brings the whole end table over to him. So we're back to Tess. She's walking to a gas station. She asks for a phone. Because remember, her keys are still inside the house. Police officers arrive, and Tess is trying to tell them, like, what's going on, and the cop tells her to take her hands off the car, because he has his window rolled down, didn't get the fuck out, and she's like, you know, hey, guess what? And Tess is like, wait, what? And the cop's like, do you have ID on you? And she's like, no, I don't have anything. I just escaped, and there is a man in danger. I'm not a crackhead. She does say that. She's not a crackhead. So she takes him to the house, and the cops basically aren't doing shit. They say the only crime they see is her and the broken window that she caused. And she's like, no, there is someone in the house and they're in danger. Well, one of the officers gets a call about a shooting, and they're like, well, we got to go. And she's like, you motherfuckers are really leaving? He's like, hey, you're lucky we don't bring you in and let you sleep this off. Yes, please. Please take me in. Please get me the fuck out of here. Like, I can call someone later. Yes. But she goes, sleep this off. She's like, where are you going? And the cops just leave. Yeah, just bye. Well, back at AJ in his creepy little situation, he finds his phone at the foot of the bed and he starts like looking at the VHS tapes on the shelf. And there are names on them. Some of these are, I didn't write them all down, just some of them. There's Ruby, Brenda, Very Old, Asian-Biter, Blonde-Heavy, Gabby, Jane-Screamer, Sarah, Hitchhiker, and there's like 20 fucking tapes. And there's one in a VCR that says gas station, redhead. So AJ pushes it in and presses play. Well, now the house is super dark and it's very, very fucking quiet. And there is not a sound. But then we get a little jolt, okay? Because a window gets broken and it's Tess. She goes in and she gets her keys. You guys, this is like the last 20 minutes of this fucking film. So yeah, I jump every fucking time because I always forget that happens. So we see the look of horror on AJ's face and we hear a woman screaming on the TV. AJ stops the video, turns to look at the old man, and he says, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" Frank ignores him, still looking through the table. He says, "I'm talking to you, you fuck." The old man pulls out a revolver. AJ's like, "Hey, yo." But Frank puts it to his head, and AJ's like, no, wait. And we just see the flash and hear the bang while AJ gasps in horror. So holy fucking shit, you guys. What? Tess is starting her car, and all of a sudden, the fucking woman busts out the front of the house yelling like, rah, 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 and comes towards her, titties all flying out in the air. Tess floors it, runs her into the house, and the woman is still yelling, and like she hits the windshield and fucking cracks it. Do you know how hard a windshield is? Holy shit. Well, Tess is now stuck, but the woman like stares at Tess and she weakly groans, and assumingly she fucking dies. Okay, because she ain't moving no more and she's not like, rah, 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 rah. AJ grabs the gun. He's going to make a break for it. Tess decides to go back inside the house. She's determined to save AJ because she couldn't save Keith. I'm sorry, but you don't know these fucking people. Like, I get it. I feel really shitty because I'm not in that situation. Yes, I would try to help someone, but I gotta go. I can do more by getting help, okay? So, anyway, she's determined to save AJ. She gets to the breastfeeding room, and all of a sudden she says, hello, and bang, AJ shoots her. She falls. He's like, oh, fuck, I'm so sorry. Like, I didn't mean to. He picks her up. He helps Tess out of the house, and the woman is gone. AJ's like, like, fuck, like your car's fucked. And she's like, what about your car? And he said, my keys are in the house. I'm not going back in there. So they decide to walk to the water tower. They get there. That homeless man lets them in. His name is Andre. He says, I can't believe she let you get this far. She's just some crazy lady that lives in that house. AJ's like, since when? He says, like 40-something years. She was born there. AJ's like, no, dude, like I own that house. Andre says, maybe on paper, but that's her daddy's house. And neither one of them have even left there. He used to bring women down there and he started making babies with them. And the babies started making babies with the babies, and you make a copy of a copy of a copy, and you end up with something like that. Holy fucking shit. So this guy, Frank, the old man in the bed, was a goddamn fucking terrifying monster. Could you... Oh, no. Like, what happened to like, where did they all go? Like, what the fuck? Like, was that his whole plan? Like, to create a monster, or like what? Because that's fucking terrifying. So Andre tells them to sit and wait. AJ says the gunshot was his fault. Andre's like, it doesn't matter who's at fault. AJ freaks out and he's like, maybe I'm a bad person. And then he's like, I am a bad person. And he goes, well, maybe I'm a good person who did a bad thing. Maybe I can fix it. Andre's like, we're safe here. You know, like, worry about that shit in the morning. Tess says, how do you know she can't get in here? Andre says, shit, I've lived here for 15 years and she's never come up in here. And all of a sudden, the fucking woman bursts through the wall and shit goes wild. She grabs Andre and she rips his fucking arm off and starts beating him with it. Tess and AJ, they run out of there. AJ's like, shit. They climb up the tower. Tess is struggling because she got shot in the side. She asked AJ to wait for her and he's like, just come on. He doesn't do well under pressure. The woman is running up the stairs. Tess makes it up to the top and she tells AJ, your gun. And he's like, oh yeah. Well, whenever he goes to grab it out of like the front of his pants, he's like fumbling around like an idiot and he drops it. And he's like, well, fuck. And he goes, if she wants us, she's going to get us. She won't stop. And Tess is sobbing because she made it out, but she fucked up. I think she realized. And the woman makes it to the top and AJ looks at Tess. He says, I can get away, but you're going to have to slow her down. Tess is like, what? And he grabs Tess by the hair and says, hey, come get your baby. And tosses Tess off the side of the fucking water tower. AJ is a piece of fucking garbage. The creature literally dives after Tess, and it's like in slow motion where you see Tess falling and then she looks up and sees this big titty bitch fucking inbred creature coming after her. AJ looks down, sees Tess lying on top of the creature, and he's like, oh my God, like, okay. And he makes his way down. He grabs the gun and walks towards them. And guys, Tess is still alive. He's like, hey, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I had no choice. She was going to kill us both and you're going to be okay. Like, you just slipped. Like, I didn't even let go. It just happened. He's such a he's a goddamn piece of shit. But he picks her up. And whenever he does, the fucking creature also rises. And she grabs AJ, puts her thumbs into his eyeballs with her nasty ass fingernails, and rips his head in half. Like, oh. Remember Jeepers Creepers? He has no eyes. Tess is lying on the ground, and the woman sees that she's hurt, and she just looks so sad. And she tries to pick Tess up, but Tess like cries out in pain. And the woman thing just like points. And Tess is like, no, I can't. Like, I can't go back there. And the creature's like, bah, like talking about going back. And she looks so fucking sad, but so terrifying at the same time. And she looks so gross. I can only imagine what her breath smells like. Like, Tess slowly grabs the gun and points it at her face, at the woman's face. And then the fucking creature kisses like her fingers and puts them on Tess's forehead and says, "Baby." And Tess shoots. And during the credits, "Be My Baby" plays. Be my baby. I can't go into full sing-song mode. But while that's playing, we're getting snippets of Tess getting up and she is just limping down the street as the sun is rising. And the end. Holy shit, you guys. So we start off with, a woman going to an Airbnb. There's already someone living there. And you're like, oh, could this be like a cute romance comedy type movie? I don't know. And then shit hits the fan. And then all of a sudden we meet AJ, who is a fucking, garbage dumpster, like fucking hurting women. And then all of a sudden we get his story and holy shit. And then we find out the backstory of who this fucking woman creature is. And oh my God. So yeah, 42 minutes in is when shit gets terrifying, but then it kind of like calms down. You're like, oh, okay, we're cool. But then all of a sudden it just pops back off and it doesn't let up. Oh my God. So that was Barbarian. It is available on Hulu. I hope you guys enjoyed me describing it. Maybe you should watch it because, it's good to just be like pranking someone, be like, hey, I really want to watch this cute movie. Let's watch it together, put it on and just see how they react. Like, send me some reactions. I think that would be really great because I did the same thing with Doug. I didn't really tell him much about it. I was like, yeah, you got to watch it, man. It's a good movie. So of course he did. And then he was like, what the fuck? Like, oh man. Okay. So let me know what you guys thought. Leave it in the comments. Send me an email. If you have any kind of request, comment them, email them to me. Like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, other people that are into horror movies. Yeah, I did actually get another movie request from Miss Tammy. She wants to do The Invisible Man that came out in 2020. It's so weird, man. That's 5 years ago. I've only seen it once, vague memories of it. But yeah, so that'll be one coming up here soon as well. Yeah, just the moral of this is if you go to an Airbnb and someone else is already there, just fucking leave. And if you don't, and then you go into a creepy ass basement and there's some weird inbred fucking woman there with her titties hanging out, just leave. Like, if you get out, don't go back in. I'm sorry. Get the military, get somebody, or just keep your fucking mouth shut. Okay. People do that shit all the time. It's fine. Okay. Like, just anyway, you guys are awesome. I don't know. I think I'm going to go watch, I'm going to watch a Disney movie. Maybe. We'll see. All right, you guys, I will talk to you on the next one. And yeah, just let me know what you all thought and send me some ideas. Talk to you soon. Bye.